Grace Kelly entered a room, and conversations stopped, not because she screamed for attention with scandalous necklines or flashy jewelry. Her presence whispered authority while others shouted desperation. Have you ever noticed how certain women can command respect without even opening their mouths? They discreetly adjust their posture in the elevator, and everyone instinctively straightens up. They ask for water at the restaurant, and the waiter automatically offers the wine list. What kind of spell is this? The answer is hidden in almost imperceptible gestures. While some women fight to prove their worth through silent screams, that oversized logo handbag, that perfume that arrives 5 minutes before she does, true ladies of society master a secret language. Studies from the International Etiquette Institute confirm authentic class is revealed through refined micro-habits, small details that separate queens from modern-day commoners. Today, you will discover these secret codes that transform ordinary women into magnetic figures, even without a single designer item in the wardrobe. If you reject the vulgarity that contaminates our society and seek the elegance our generation has lost, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. Only women with true discernment recognize the value of refined manners in a world that glorifies the grotesque. The first micro-habit that immediately reveals a woman of class is something you do without realizing it. The art of strategic silence. Anna Wintour does not scream or gesture like a reality show host, but a single raised eyebrow from her makes fashion editors tremble more than any hysterical scream ever could. She discovered that strategic silence is the secret language of power. Therefore, her words are as scarce as diamonds and equally valuable. While insecure women vomit words desperately to fill every awkward pause, those who truly control a situation know that silence can be more devastating than any eloquent speech. But this technique requires courage that most do not possess. Curating words like rare jewels means that when you finally speak, people stop everything to listen. During corporate meetings, observe who truly commands respect. It is never the chatterboxes competing for microphone time like verbal gladiators. Therefore, their surgical interventions carry weight precisely because they do not waste syllables on trivialities. True power whispers while insecurity screams. But there is a deadly danger in this technique that can destroy your reputation instantly. Wisdom in strategic spending. Warren Buffett drives a Cadillac XTS from the year 2014 and lives in the same house since the year 58. But that did not stop him from becoming one of the richest men on the planet. While Instagram influencers rent Lamborghinis to fake success for 24 hours, true moguls choose Toyota cars because they understand a secret that escapes the poor mindset disguised as wealth. A woman of genuine class never confuses spending money with having money. Therefore, she invests strategically in pieces that will last for decades, while others chase trends that will die in the next season. She chooses a classic wool coat that costs the same as 5 synthetic jackets. But this seemingly unfavorable math hides a financial intelligence that few understand. Ostentation is the public confession of financial insecurity. Therefore, truly wealthy women whisper their prosperity through discreet choices. They never make others feel uncomfortable discussing prices or showing off expensive acquisitions as social war trophies. But that discretion is not false modesty. It is authentic power that does not need to prove itself. The next micro-habit reveals how she turns simple words into weapons of social seduction. Conscious phone etiquette. Oprah Winfrey built a billion-dollar empire by doing a single thing that our generation forgot: looking into people's eyes when they speak. While influencers interrupt conversations to check whether their selfies reached 1,000 likes, she discovered that genuine attention is the scarcest luxury of the 21st century. Therefore, her interviews became confessionals, where celebrities reveal secrets they have kept for decades. Constantly checking the phone in social settings is like yawning at a funeral. Technically, you can do it, but it reveals a devastating lack of class. Therefore, truly sophisticated women treat face-to-face moments as sacred territory. When you give someone your full attention, you communicate that this person is worth more than any fabricated digital emergency. But this simplicity has become so rare, it feels almost revolutionary. If you need to check your device, excuse yourself gracefully, as if you were leaving for the bathroom. Never allow technology to dominate human beings in your presence. But if resisting for 30 minutes feels impossible, perhaps the digital addiction is a symptom of a deeper problem than etiquette. The next micro-habit can ruin your reputation even though it is considered polite. The power of controlled posture. Michelle Obama walks as if she were wearing an invisible crown, but she never appears stiff like a store mannequin. She discovered that true elegance flows from within, like water finding its natural level. While insecure women force their bodies into military positions that scream, "I survived an etiquette course," she demonstrates that authentic posture is born from self-respect. Therefore, every step communicates that she absolutely belongs in any environment. Studies confirm that impeccable posture not only projects devastating confidence, but also reduces muscle tension and improves overall health. But most women make the catastrophic mistake of turning elegance into physical torture. They believe posture means declaring war on their own bodies. Therefore, they remain as stiff as wax statues in a house of horrors. Truly powerful posture flows from such deep inner conviction that your spine naturally aligns to reflect that silent authority. Think less soldier at attention and more queen inspecting lands that belong to her by divine right. But there is a microscopic detail in posture that instantly undoes all that elegance. Philosophy of quality over quantity. Steve Jobs wore the same black t-shirt every day because he understood that genius lies in refined simplicity, not in desperate variety. While compulsive consumers accumulate 47 handbags that fall apart after 3 uses, he proved that true sophistication means owning fewer items of superior quality. Therefore, his brand became synonymous with minimalist elegance. A woman of authentic class carries an exquisitely crafted bag for years instead of collecting 17 synthetic disasters that die after their first encounter with rain. But this philosophy transcends material objects. She cultivates a few deep relationships instead of keeping hundreds of superficial acquaintances on social media. Therefore, her conversations have substance, while others waste energy on petty talk. This deliberate curation governs everything from her choice of restaurants to the books artfully arranged on the coffee table. Each choice reflects high standards that prefer elegant emptiness over vulgar excess, but it requires courage to resist the social pressure of more is better. The next mistake destroys your credibility, even when you think you are being kind. Controlled emotional expression under pressure. Diana, Princess of Wales, faced brutal media scrutiny and public marital betrayal, but she never lost her composure nor lowered herself to tabloid levels. She turned each humiliation into an opportunity to demonstrate royal dignity. While other women explode in public altercations that destroy reputations in seconds, she proved that true strength manifests through emotional control under crossfire. Therefore, her arguments had devastating weight because they were never contaminated by hysteria. Anyone can remain elegant when life flows like silk, but being able to preserve composure when the waiter spills wine on your white outfit reveals authentic character. Therefore, women of true class never allow external circumstances to dictate their internal responses. They respond thoughtfully instead of reacting like wounded animals, but this requires emotional training that most consider unnecessary work. A true lady does not create drama, nor allows herself to be recruited into others' emotional disasters. She understands that temporary emotions can inflict permanent damage on reputations that took decades to build. But there is a social trap that makes elegant women appear arrogant without realizing it. Intentional listening as social currency. Eva Peron turned strategic listening into a devastating art, making workers and the poor feel heard for the first time in Argentine history. She discovered that people are starving for genuine attention in a world where elites speak and no one listens. While social narcissists impatiently await their turn to talk, she proved that real power lies in making others feel like the most fascinating person on the planet. Therefore, her interviews became confessionals where vulnerability flowed like spilled wine. Most people listen only to formulate brilliant replies instead of truly understanding. But offering full and undivided presence has become a tragically rare gift in an era of collective attention deficit. This does not mean nodding robotically while mentally organizing your shopping list. Therefore, authentic listening requires real engagement with others' words, thoughtful questions, and memory for shared details. The quietest woman at a party often becomes the most unforgettable because she remembers personal stories and references them elegantly, making each person feel genuinely seen and valued. But there is a dangerous line between genuine interest and something that may be interpreted as the signature scent strategy. Cleopatra seduced two of the most powerful men in Rome using fragrances that arrived before her like invisible ambassadors. But her genius lay in calculated subtlety. She never needed to drown herself in perfume, like an insecure teenager heading to her first party. While desperate women marinate themselves in fragrance until they can be detected from 3 blocks away, she understood that olfactory elegance whispers rather than shouts. Therefore, kings and emperors remained intoxicated by her presence long after she had left. A woman of class selects a scent carefully and applies it with the moderation of a Swiss banker handling gold. Each spray is an investment in someone else's memory, but this olfactory psychology requires discipline that few possess. When someone encounters that fragrance months later in a store, it should instantly evoke your memory as an involuntary emotional trigger. Therefore, you become associated with specific moments in people's minds. This is personal branding in its most sophisticated form and requires absolutely zero designer logos to execute with devastating perfection. Only the understanding that memories are built through all the senses. But the next micro-habit can make you seem pretentious, even when you are genuinely polite. Polished footwear standards. Winston Churchill personally inspected the shoes of his assistants because he discovered that men negligent with their footwear were equally careless with crucial matters of state. He understood that shoes function as the final punctuation in personal statements. You may orchestrate an impeccable look from head to ankle, but if your shoes appear to have survived a German bombing, the entire image collapses faster than a poorly built soufflé. Therefore, he turned shoe inspection into a ritual of power. This principle does not require investment in expensive brands, only consistent care that most consider unnecessary work, but polished shoes communicate discipline and attention to detail that few possess. The difference between scuffed footwear and immaculate shoes determines whether you receive respectful or dismissive treatment. Therefore, this simple math escapes those who spend fortunes on clothing while neglecting fundamentals. Restaurants provide superior service, professional environments, demonstrate more respect, and levels of trust rise dramatically when you master this seemingly basic art. The final micro-habit reveals the secret that separates powerful women from mere imitators. Punctuality as personal trademark. Angela Merkel transformed punctuality into a diplomatic tool during 16 years as Chancellor of Germany, establishing that meetings began precisely at the scheduled time, regardless of the status of the latecomers. But her temporal obsession was not rigidity. It was strategic respect that built international trust. While chronically late people fabricate creative excuses like science fiction screenwriters, she proved that punctuality communicates that you value commitments enough to plan properly. Chronic lateness arrogantly suggests that your time is more valuable than theirs, but this assumption rarely improves social standing and often silently destroys it. A woman of class arrives precisely when expected, never early enough to create unnecessary pressure, never late enough to cause anxiety in others. Therefore, this mathematical reliability becomes integral to her personal brand. This temporal discipline distinguishes you from the perpetually disorganized masses who treat appointments as optional suggestions rather than sacred contracts with reality. Now you possess the secret codes, but there is one final warning that could cancel everything. You have just discovered the secret codes that separate women of true class from desperate imitators. Strategic spending like Warren Buffett, royal posture like Michelle Obama, devastating silence like Anna Wintour. Each micro-habit works as a piece in a sophisticated puzzle. The shocking truth? You do not need to master them all at once. Choose 3 that resonate the most and practice them until they become instinctive. But here is what no one tells you. Authentic elegance never diminishes others. It inspires collective elevation. If you reject modern vulgarity and seek genuine refinement, subscribe and leave your like. Only women with discernment recognize value in quality education. Authentic class does not come from where you were born, but from where you choose to evolve. Each controlled gesture, each curated word, each deliberate choice builds your reputation like compound interest in a personal prestige account. Comment: Elegance never ages if this content transformed your perspective on mature sophistication.